Everything we have been telling you for months, we have been reporting for months that the media has ignored for over a year, has been confirmed this weekend. I want you to pay very close attention. It gets somewhat complicated, but it's a sad chapter in American history. You have a Trump campaign associate. His name is Carter Page. He was spied on during the height of the 2016 election by Barack Hussein Obama's DOJ through the use of a FISA warrant, the hardest warrant to get. And tonight we know for sure, totally confirmed, that the justification for this warrant was a document. You've heard it before. The unverified, uncorroborated, phony dossier put together by a foreign national with funneled money through a law firm to an op research group paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC. And by the way, this was all full of Russian lies. The whole bunch of it. Russian lies. Every single thing that they said about Donald Trump was not true. Now, we told you about Perkins Coie, the law firm. We told you about Fusion GPS. We told you about the foreign national, Christopher Steele. They dug up dirt on Clinton's opponent with Russian lies. Let me repeat, Mr. Mueller, Russian lies to the American people to affect the outcome of a presidential election. Let me put it more simply. Obama's DOJ and FBI were spying on the campaign of an opposing party in a presidential election year, using op research that Hillary Clinton paid for. Deep state operatives tried to rig and steal a presidential election. This is what happens in banana republics. This is Venezuela. The type of propaganda would rival Pravda in the former Soviet Union. This should never happen in the United States of America, period. And the mainstream corrupt media in this country has been completely missing in action. Make no mistake, this phony, dirty Russian dossier wasn't just referenced in the newly released documents on late Saturday night. Instead, Steele's dossier was, in fact, the FISA application. All four of them. But still, look at your screen. See these names? James Comey, Sally Yates, Dana Puente, and Andrew McCabe, Rod Rosenstein, all signed off on this warrant, and all three subsequent renewals. They repeatedly lied to FISA court judges 4 separate times. Rod Rosenstein lied. McCabe lied. Nothing new for him. And Yates and Comey and the rest of them all lied. And they all signed off on a warrant application based on a document that is so duplicitous, even Steele himself, in court proceedings in Great Britain, conceded that the dossier was not confirmed or verified. He referred to it as raw intelligence. And he said the chances of some of it even being true were 50-50. And Christopher Steele was ultimately fired as an FBI source for lying and leaking. And still, in the FISA warrants, after his firing, they claimed, 2 FISA judges, that Steele was credible. He was fired for lying and leaking. And meanwhile, James Comey admitted he knew the dossier was unverified and salacious. And let's not forget, fired FBI director actually denied. He told a lie to our own Brett Baer that the dossier was, in fact, playing a major role in the FISA application, the hardest warrant to ever get. They lied to the judges repeatedly. Take a look.
You called the dossier unverified, salacious. Why did you use that to the FISA court to ask for surveillance for Carter Page? Not only use it, but you led with it. A bulk of that FISA application deals with that dossier. Why?
Yeah, that's not my recollection, Brett. And I don't know that the FISA application has been released. My recollection was it was part of a broader mosaic of facts that were laid before the FISA judge to obtain a FISA warrant.
There was a lot more than the dossier in the FISA application?
My recollection was there was a significant amount of additional material about Page and why there was probable cause to believe he was an agent of a foreign power. And the dossier was part of that, but was not all of it or a critical part of it.
What he said was a lie. This lie was parroted again and again by Democrats. The biggest liar in the country, Adam Schiff. Let's look at him lying to you.
The information that was used in part in the FISA application came from a trusted source, Christopher Steele, someone who is a respected member of British intelligence. And it was part of a full package that was presented to the FISA court, and it would have been negligent, frankly, given what the FBI knew about Carter Page, the history that he had, the fact he'd been a target of Russian recruitment even prior to this, the fact that they went out and interviewed him in March, even before Christopher Steele produced any part of the so-called dossier, that they were acting in good faith.
No, Mr. Schiff, you knew, and we all now know, it was the bulk of the application. He's one of the biggest liars in the country with 500 TV appearances. Well, about that. Meanwhile, remember, it was the deputy AG, Rod Rosenstein, who was conflicted in so many different ways. He actually signed off on the last final FISA renewal against Carter Page, who had this to say: Rod, listen to your own words about the sanctity of getting a FISA warrant. What you said back in May. Apply these standards to yourself, knowing what we now know.
The way we operate in the Department of Justice, if we're going to accuse somebody of wrongdoing, we have to have admissible evidence and credible witnesses. We need to be prepared to prove our case in court, and we have to affix our signature to the charging document. That's something that not everybody appreciates. There's a lot of talk about FISA applications, and many people that I see talking about it seem not to recognize what a FISA application. A FISA application is actually a warrant, just like a search warrant. In order to get a FISA search warrant, you need an affidavit signed by a career federal law enforcement officer who swears that the information in the affidavit is true and correct to the best of his knowledge and belief. And that's the way we operate. And if it's wrong, sometimes it is.
Breaking that up. Lucy.